November 15th, 1942, 12:01 a.m. Ironbottom Sound, off Guadalcanal. The sea is black and restless, a low Pacific swell slapping against steel hulls as rain squalls drift in and out of the darkness. There is no moon, no horizon, only shadows layered on shadows. On the bridge of a Japanese cruiser, a captain grips the cold rail with gloved hands. His eyes strain forward, searching for silhouettes that should be there, but aren't. Somewhere ahead, American ships are moving through the night. He knows it, he can feel it, but the sea gives nothing back. The engines thrum beneath his boots, low, controlled, disciplined. Around him, officers whisper bearings, half guesses, instinct sharpened by years of training. Lookouts lean into the wind, binoculars pressed hard against their faces, lenses fogging, wiping, refocusing. This is how night battles are supposed to be fought, by nerve, by experience, by the ability to sense the enemy before he senses you. For decades, the Imperial Japanese Navy has trained for this moment. Night fighting is supposed to be their domain. Then, without warning, the darkness explodes. Not with the slow bloom of star shells or the distant thunder of blind salvos, but with sudden, precise flashes, white-hot, razor-sharp, the kind that punch holes through the night itself. Shells slam into a ship somewhere off the port bow. Not random, not searching, direct hits. The Japanese captain stiffens. These aren't lucky shots. These are aimed. Just hours earlier, the mood had been very different. The task force had slipped into Ironbottom Sound under cover of darkness, following a path littered with the wreckage of past battles, sunken hulls, oil-slicked water, twisted reminders of how brutal the fight for Guadalcanal had already been. The mission was clear: bombard Henderson Field, cripple the airstrip, break the American hold on the island. They had done this before, night after night. The Americans, in comparison, were predictable, slow to react, hesitant in darkness, dangerous in daylight, but vulnerable after sunset. The captain had believed it too. He had earned his rank in a navy that prized discipline and aggressive doctrine. His world was built on calculated confidence. But something feels wrong tonight. The radio crackles with fragments of reports, incomplete, urgent, confused. A destroyer ahead has taken heavy fire, another has gone silent. No visual contact, no flares, just impacts. The bridge shudders again. A shell screams overhead, close enough to make every man flinch. The concussion slams into the superstructure like a giant fist. "Enemy battleship," someone mutters. Not a report, a realization. Battleships are not supposed to appear this way. In Japanese doctrine, a battleship reveals itself with thunder, with muzzle flashes lighting the sky, with the roar of guns echoing across miles of ocean. You see it before it kills you. This enemy does not announce itself. It finds you. Somewhere in the darkness, the American battleship USS Washington is moving with lethal calm. Her radar operators are tracking targets invisible to the naked eye. Range, bearing, speed, calculated in seconds. Her guns do not fire until the solution is perfect. And when they do, the night belongs to her. The Japanese captain watches another ship, a friendly silhouette, erupt in fire. The flashes are brief but unmistakable. Heavy caliber hits, devastating accuracy. This is not chaos. This is execution. You can almost feel the cold realization creeping in, slow and unwelcome. This is not a battle being fought on equal terms. This is not courage versus courage, skill versus skill. This is something else. Technology. The captain had heard rumors, whispers from earlier engagements. American radar, American fire control, devices that can see without eyes. He had dismissed them.
Everyone had. Radar was unreliable, they said. Too crude, too dependent on operators. Useful for early warning, maybe, but not for decisive night combat. Certainly not this. Another salvo crashes into the darkness. The impacts march across steel with horrifying precision. The ocean around the cruiser glows briefly, reflecting firelight off churning water. Burning debris rains down. Men shout orders that barely carry over the wind and engines. For the first time in years, the captain feels something unfamiliar tighten in his chest. Uncertainty. A report arrives, fragmented, barely intelligible. The battleship Kirishima has been hit multiple times, fires out of control, steering compromised. The captain closes his eyes for half a second. Kirishima is not just another ship, she is a symbol, a veteran of Pearl Harbor, a pillar of the fleet. And she is being dismantled in the dark by an enemy she cannot even see. The implication lands with crushing weight. If American battleships can do this at night, if they can strike first, strike accurately, and strike without revealing themselves, then everything the Imperial Navy has built its confidence on is obsolete. Years of doctrine, countless hours of night training, all of it neutralized by green glowing scopes in quiet plotting rooms deep inside American hulls. The sea hasn't changed, but the rules have. The captain stares into the blackness ahead, knowing that somewhere out there, American guns are already tracking him, waiting. This night is no longer about Guadalcanal. It is about something much larger. And for the first time since the war began, a thought he has never allowed himself to finish pushes through the noise of battle. We cannot win a war like this. The guns thunder again. Closer this time.
The order finally comes, a sharp bark cutting through the chaos. Turn away, full speed. The cruiser heels as the helm answers, engines rising from a disciplined thrum to a strained, urgent roar. The captain does not look back. He doesn't need to. The sound tells him enough. Distant detonations, the crack of heavy guns, the unmistakable tearing noise of steel being opened by shells far larger than his own. This is no longer an engagement to be won. It is something to be survived. Behind him, Ironbottom Sound has become a killing ground. The name, once a grim joke among sailors, feels prophetic now. The ocean flashes intermittently as ships burn, American and Japanese silhouettes tangled together in smoke and flame. But one presence dominates the night. Invisible, silent between salvos, relentless. In the plotting room, deep inside the American battleship, the fight feels very different. There is no guessing here, no peering into darkness. Green radar scopes glow softly, operators calling out steady updates with calm, almost bored precision. Bearings adjust, range tightens, speed is calculated. On the bridge, Rear Admiral Willis A. Lee trusts the instruments more than his eyes. He had believed in radar long before most of his peers. Tonight, that faith is being rewarded. Fire control teams feed solutions directly to the guns. Turrets swing with mechanical grace. When the order to fire is given, the battleship does not hesitate. She speaks once. And when the shells land, they land exactly where mathematics says they should. The Japanese captain feels the difference instinctively. This is not the familiar rhythm of naval combat. There is no escalation, no testing of range, no gradual tightening of fire. The American salvos arrive already perfected. He realizes now what that means. They were being tracked long before they knew the Americans were there. Every maneuver, every change in speed, every attempt to slip through darkness, already known, already plotted. The night, once the Japanese Navy's greatest ally, has betrayed them. A runner bursts onto the bridge, rain-soaked and breathless. Damage reports are grim. Near misses have ruptured fuel lines. Shrapnel has torn through exposed mounts. Casualties are mounting below decks.
but the captain barely hears him. His thoughts are racing somewhere far beyond Ironbottom Sound. He thinks of Naval Academy lectures, of night fighting exercises drilled into muscle memory, of instructors who taught that superior optics, superior training, superior spirit would always triumph of the raw industrial strength. That belief had shaped an entire generation of officers, and now, in the span of minutes, it is collapsing. Because spirit cannot see through rain and smoke, radar can. Another explosion blooms to starboard, distant, but unmistakably catastrophic. Even from here, the glow is wrong. Too large, too final. Kirishima. The confirmation comes moments later over the radio. Her rudder jammed, fires uncontrollable, flooding spreading. The proud battleship that had survived so many engagements is finished, not by a swarm of torpedoes or a heroic duel, but by a single unseen opponent firing with surgical precision. The captain grips the railing again, harder this time. He does not feel fear. He feels something worse. Clarity. As the cruiser pushes south, slipping out of the worst of the fire, the night grows quieter. The thunder of guns fades behind them, replaced by wind and the hiss of rain on steel. The crew exhales, not in relief, but in disbelief. They had trained for chaos, for confusion, for moments where courage and initiative would decide the outcome. They had not trained for this, for a battle where one side never truly enters the arena. The captain finally allows himself to look aft. Smoke pillars twist into the clouds, illuminated by distant flames. Somewhere back there, men are still fighting, still dying, still believing they can turn the tide. He knows better now. In the hours that follow, reports trickle in, fragmented, grim. The bombardment mission has failed. Henderson Field will survive another night. The American foothold on Guadalcanal remains intact. But the real damage is not listed in any report. It is psychological. An invisible line has been crossed. For the first time, the Imperial Japanese Navy has been decisively beaten in a night surface engagement, not through superior numbers or reckless bravery, but through technology that nullifies experience itself. The captain retreats to his cabin as dawn approaches, exhaustion pressing down on him like physical weight. He removes his gloves slowly. His hands are shaking. He takes out his notebook, and there, by the dim glow of a shaded lamp, he begins to write. Not about tactics, not about maneuvers, but about inevitability. He writes of an enemy that sees without eyes, of guns guided by machines instead of instinct, of a war that has shifted from contests of skill to contests of production, electronics, and engineering. He does not use the word defeat. He does not need to. The meaning is there between every line. America is not just fighting better. America is fighting differently. And Japan cannot change fast enough. When the sun finally rises over Ironbottom Sound, it reveals the cost of the night. Wreckage, oil slicks, survivors clinging to debris where proud ships once sailed. The captain stands on deck, face expressionless, eyes fixed on the horizon. The ocean looks ordinary again, but he knows the truth. Nothing about this war will ever be the same. And somewhere deep inside, a realization hardens into certainty. Dawn does not bring relief. It brings clarity. The light spreads slowly across Ironbottom Sound, revealing what the darkness had hidden. Broken hulls, floating debris, oil slicks stretching like black scars across the water. Smoke still rises from the horizon in thin, twisting columns, as if the night itself is reluctant to let go. The cruiser glides past wreckage in near silence. No one speaks. Sailors line the rails, staring down at planks, helmets, life rings, undistinguishably Japanese. Some still bear fresh scorch marks, others are untouched, drifting as if the men who wore them simply vanished. The captain stands apart from them, hands clasped behind his back. This is not the aftermath of a failed mission. This is the aftermath of a revelation. As the ship withdraws towards safer waters, reports from other units arrive, delayed, incomplete, and heavy with implication. Losses are confirmed, not just ships, but initiative, not just firepower, but confidence. The Americans had not merely defended Guadalcanal, they had demonstrated a future Japan could not match. In staff meetings weeks later, the language will be careful, neutral, controlled. Words like unexpected effectiveness and tactical surprise will be used. But the captain already knows the truth those words are hiding. Surprise is temporary. This was structural. Below decks, damage control teams continue their work. Welders spark, pumps thrum. Wounded men are treated quietly, without drama. The ship will survive. That, almost paradoxically, makes the realization worse, because survival means memory. It means carrying this night forward. The captain retreats again to his cabin. He does not sleep. Instead, he replays the engagement in his mind, not emotionally, but analytically. He dissects every decision, every turn of the helm, every moment where doctrine should have worked. And again, the same conclusion emerges. Even flawless execution would not have changed the outcome. You cannot outmaneuver an enemy who sees you continuously. You cannot ambush someone who already knows your position. You cannot rely on experience when the battlefield itself has been transformed. For years, Japan had bet its naval future on decisive battles, moments where skill, coordination, and courage would compensate for material inferiority. This night proves that those moments are ending. As the cruiser reaches base, the atmosphere is subdued. No formal welcome, no speeches. Officers exchange quiet nods, their faces drawn, eyes avoiding unnecessary contact.
Everyone feels it, the unspoken understanding that something fundamental has shifted. The captain submits his preliminary report. He chooses his words carefully, knowing they will pass through many hands, some receptive, others resistant. He emphasizes detection, fire control, the impossibility of surprise. He does not accuse, he does not dramatize, he simply describes what happened and lets the facts do the damage. Weeks pass. Guadalcanal remains contested, but the tone of the campaign has changed. American resupply continues. Aircraft keep flying from Henderson Field. Japanese night runs grow more dangerous, more costly, less effective. Each engagement reinforces the lesson learned that night. Radar-guided fire, coordinated task groups, industrial replacement of losses at a pace Japan cannot match. The captain follows the reports closely. None of them contradict his conclusion. Late one evening, he attends a small briefing with other officers who were present at Ironbottom Sound. There is no mat table bravado, no aggressive talk of turning the tide. Instead, there is quiet calculation. One officer finally voices what the others are thinking. If this continues, how do we win? No one answers immediately, because everyone already has the same answer. You don't. Not this way. Not against this kind of enemy. The captain walks back to his quarters alone. The corridor lights hum softly overhead. The ship feels smaller now, constrained. He stops, just for a moment, and rests his hand against the bulkhead. Steel, solid, reliable. And yet, against radar waves and calculating machines, it suddenly feels fragile. He understands now that bravery will still matter, sacrifice will still matter, but they will no longer be enough.
The war has entered a phase where outcomes are decided long before ships ever see each other. In factories, in laboratories, in rooms filled with engineers instead of admirals. That night, he writes one final line in his notebook, a sentence he never intends to publish. A navy can win battles with courage. A nation wins wars with systems. He closes the book. Outside, the harbor is calm. The water reflects the stars peacefully, as if mocking the violence it witnessed weeks earlier. The captain stares out at it, already aware that future nights at sea will only confirm what he learned in that darkness off Guadalcanal. And somewhere far across the Pacific, America is building more ships, more radar sets, more nights like that one.
The war moves on. It always does. New orders arrive, new patrol zones, new names added to casualty lists that grow longer with each passing month. On the surface, nothing about the captain's daily routine suggests a man who believes the outcome is already decided. He conducts inspections, reviews charts, speaks calmly to subordinates. His voice never betrays doubt. But inside, the night at Ironbottom Sound never fades. As 1943 turns into 1944, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. American fleets appear faster than expected. Repairs happen quicker than intelligence predicts. Losses that should cripple operations are absorbed, replaced, and forgotten within weeks. Each time a new American task force enters the Pacific, it is larger, more coordinated, more confident. Each time, the same quiet realization returns. This is not momentum. This is inevitability. The captain reads translated summaries of enemy doctrine when he can get them. He studies intercepted reports. He listens carefully to younger officers who still speak of decisive engagements, of one great blow that will restore balance. He does not argue with them. He remembers being them. Instead, he asks questions. How many ships can we replace this year? How many can they? How many radar sets are we producing? How many are they installing each month? The answers are never spoken aloud in full. They don't need to be. One evening, long after most of the crew has turned in, the captain stands alone on deck. The sea is calm. The stars are clear. Conditions almost identical to that night off Guadalcanal. He closes his eyes. For a moment, he can hear it again, the thunder of unseen guns, the precision of impact, the horrifying certainty that the enemy knew exactly where he was. That memory, more than any official report or strategic briefing, has shaped everything since. Because it was honest, it stripped away ideology, training myths, and institutional pride in a single night. He understands now why that realization felt heavier than fear. Fear passes. Knowledge stays. By late 1944, even the most optimistic officers can no longer deny the imbalance. The war has become defensive, then desperate, then sacrificial. Young pilots speak of final missions with forced brightness. Ships sail with fuel barely sufficient for return journeys. The captain listens and remembers that his own moment of understanding came earlier, not in defeat, not in retreat, but in the cold clarity of being outmatched by something fundamentally new. He survives the war. Many do not. When it ends, there are no celebrations for him, no sense of relief, only a quiet confirmation of what he had known since that night at sea. Afterward, in rare conversations with fellow veterans, he never speaks about tactics or specific maneuvers. He talks about change, about the moment when war stopped being a contest of who fought better and became a contest of who could see farther, calculate faster, and build more efficiently. He always traces that realization back to one place, 1 hour, 1 night. History will later describe Ironbottom Sound as a chaotic series of engagements.
Analysts will debate decisions, formations, missed opportunities, but those debates miss something essential. For one Japanese cruiser captain, the battle was not about victory or loss. It was about understanding. Understanding that the world had shifted under his feet while he was still standing on the bridge. Understanding that courage could no longer compensate for technological asymmetry. Understanding that the war was already decided, not by that battle alone, but by what it revealed. On that night in November 1942, the Pacific did more than claim ships. It exposed the future. In one scene, it could never be unseen.